Hello again and welcome. It's Victoria here, Fraser Valley Lash Academy. If you are seeing this video, it's because you have just successfully completed my Introduction to Lash Extensions course. So congratulations on becoming a certified lash pro. Ooh, ooh. Okay, so what's next? If you want to continue learning more about lash extensions, the next step would be to learn volume. So if you're very new to the industry, you might be quite confused about the different styles, the hybrid, there's volume, and there's mega volume, and then there's all these other technique or terms to kind of go along with that. So I just wanted to do a little video and introduce you to volume. If you are very familiar, then just sit back and enjoy the slides, and I hope to see you in the volume course. So you just learned the classic lash application. So basically what it is, coming down to it, is a one-to-one application, right? You're putting just one eyelash extension on top of the natural lash. It creates a longer length mascara-like effect, and we're not allowed to go any more than 2 to 3 millimeters longer than that natural lash. So the pros about it is that it creates a very natural look, super duper easy to apply, and it's perfect for first time lash extension wearers. Cons would be they're not for everyone. They can be too heavy for some clients in certain situations, and they tend to have a little bit less retention than if we were going to be doing handmade volume on a client. As opposed to volume lashing. Volume lashing is a 2 to 8D fan application, and it creates a darker, more full look. There's a couple different techniques, and we will go through all of them in the course. But our main focus is going to be delivering handmade, custom lash fans for their extensions. So most clients are able to wear volume because we're able to customize the weight to suit their individual requirements. And a handmade fan, you're literally going to be taking those bases and wrapping them around that natural lash, and that's going to provide an even longer lasting retention for our clients. And doing this, we can customize how each base is based on the client's natural lash health. So with classics, we're really kind of limited to doing thin lashes, and if they're very sparse, then sometimes the client feels like they almost notice the gaps in their natural lashes a little bit better, like more with the lash extensions. Whereas if we were to do volume, you'd be able to fan those, fan the lashes out and create a little bit more of a filled in look for your client. And then it does take practice like anything. So definitely if you are still kind of struggling with your technique, work on your placement, and we can totally talk about getting you into volume, but you're still going to have those technical problems along the way with volume, which is why we like to just do the classic first until you're really good at applying the lash extensions, making sure they're nice and straight. Sorry if you can't, if I keep on going out of the camera. And just making sure you really understand the glue, right? So pro-made fans, they're actually very similar to a classic lash application. So many newer lash artists will begin to use the professionally made fans before or as they're learning the handmade technique. It's much easier to just purchase the fans and apply them directly on top of the natural lash. However, the retention is going to be very similar to classic, and sometimes they might just pop off easily, kind of depending on how much glue you've used and how correctly the placement has been. However, the bad thing about just doing ProMades is the cost. So cost to stock ProMade fans is very expensive, because think about how many links you currently use. Each of those links is going to be like one box of the ProMades, and prices usually start around $30 to $40 for a box of fans. So just something to kind of just be aware about. Now, when it comes kind of comparing apples to apples, classic lashing is a pickup extension from the strip. You dip it into the lash adhesive, and then you apply it directly on top of the client's natural lash, and you adjust the lash as needed before the adhesive sets. So if it's kind of like, sitting to one direction, you would just take your tweezers and just make sure it's like sitting nice and perfectly beautifully straight. Whereas volume lashing, we are actually going to isolate the natural lash first, and then we're going to create a balanced fan using your technique of choice. I actually teach you, I believe, 4 or 5 different kinds of techniques in the course. It's all about just finding the perfect tweezer to create those fans, and just getting used to one technique to start off with. Once you create that balanced fan, you're going to dip it into the adhesive to ensure the correct ratio, and then you apply the fan to the natural lash, and you just make sure there's a way that I will show you where the lashes are going to wrap around that natural lash. And there's not really any wiggle room with volume. Like pretty much once it's on there, it's going to just fan right out beautifully. And it's going to stay in place. So what else here? We've got weights and diameters to talk about as well. So just like we spoke about in the classic lash course, there is you have to be cautious about how the client's natural lash is. So if it's a very strong natural lash, they're probably able to hold 1.15 or even 0.20, whereas with volume, they'll be able to wear about maybe 8 of the 0.07s, which we generally don't do more than 4 because they are quite thick. And then the 0.05 lashes, we can generally do up to 10, but for just regular volume, we don't go any higher than 8. Once we go higher than 8 in diameter, which is the amount of lashes that are being used to create the fan, that's when we're getting into mega volume, which really requires additional training. It's more advanced. Speaking about the weak lashes, those lashes that are like super duper tiny, maybe on an older client who's already kind of gone through their change of life, older stages in their life, they tend to have a lot weaker lashes and a little bit more thin. So that's where these handmade fans are really going to come in handy, because you're going to be able to place about 3 or 4 on one of those little tiny lashes and give them a little bit more of a fuller look, which I'm sure they are desiring. So you've probably, if you've kind of looked up volume lashing, you might have heard of the term Russian. So Russian volume is the hardest style of mega volume lashing. Well, it's actually volume lashing, but it's an advanced technique. So I do teach handmade volume, which a lot of places in North America refer their handmade volume to Russian style. However, it's not like what you see in the picture, which is a very, very uniform look. It's generally quite short. So it was originally created by a woman named Olga and her partner Irina in Russia. So it came to North America and started being trained, I guess, through their Russian volume program back in 2013. So we are now 10 years into the volume industry now, which is why we see so many amazing products online. And so the kind of the downfall, this is not really the style we're going to be learning to begin with, because it is the hardest thing to achieve. We start basic. You're going to be doing more of a textured lash as opposed to this. The downside to this beautiful set is that it's very, very hard to fill. It's almost impossible because in order to keep that perfect top line, you do need to make sure you're filling in with the proper lengths to continue that perfect top line, because as the lashes start to grow, they're going to start becoming more of a textured set anyways. So I will teach you the mapping for this, and you can go ahead and attempt it once you are comfortable with hand making your own volume. And I'm excited to see the results because it's something that I just personally haven't really had the demand for in my career as a lash artist yet. So types of volume techniques, North American styling. So what we're going to focus more on is something like you see in this photo, more wispy, textured looking lashes. People really like that natural look, even though we're using volume. It does create that really nice wispy textured that a lot of clients are desiring. And we're able to, and I will teach you about the different fan sizes. So there's closed fans, which we may have already spoke about. If I recommended that, or I might have had time to show you the wet lash technique. I hope to post a training a little bit more about that pretty soon, because pretty much if you are classic trained, you can also apply wet lashes, no problem. And then there's open fans, and then there's also narrow fans as well, and each of them are for different kinds of clients. So you will learn all about those in my course. And then mega volume. Like I said earlier, it is a very advanced technique. We're going to be using these most smallest lashes. So preferably 0.03. Sometimes we use 0.05, not often. And in my journey as a mega volume lash technician, I also use what's called a feather lash, and that's a 0.02. And I have that in Fraser Valley Lash Academy's in-house collection. So the fans are basically made up of 8 to 20 dimension fans. So anything basically, I know I said 8D, but it's really 6D and up would be considered a mega volume set. And definitely requires more advanced training. So we're going to focus on volume, get you really, really good at doing those lash fans and hand making them and placing them and wrapping them so your client is being able to see that 4 to 6 weeks retention. Once we are comfortable with that, you can go on to the advanced technique. For myself, I believe I started doing mega volume lashing very quickly. So I think once I got the technique down, I was quite comfortable with lashing clients. My volume technique did take a little bit longer than most because it was pandemic and I learned online using a mannequin. I didn't really have very many humans to lash because we were shut down. But once we reopened and I had some volume volume clients, I went on to learn mega volume, which was roughly about 3 or 4 months after I started hand making my volume on my current lash clients. So this is just kind of a little chart to show you the differences. So when it comes to volume lashing, so if you see those the dark circles there, that is representing one natural lash. So as you can see, if we were to use 0.05 lashes, 3 is gonna usually fit very, very nicely on like a thinner client. As opposed to someone with really thick lashes, you can see that on the far column under the 0.15 millimeter, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 lashes there that is able to sit comfortably, and the natural lash is able to hold that many. So we will talk about discovering the correct size and dimension that's going to fit on your client's natural lash. If the fan is too heavy, it's going to cause that natural lash to shed early, and in some cases they even break. So using volume fans, you're creating a darker lash set, using the maximum amount of lashes required to achieve the client's desired level of fullness. So like, again, I'm gonna always keep going back to this. So handmade volume is maximum 8D using 0.07 or 0.05. In some very rare cases, is going to be 0.03. And again, here's another one of the tables. It just kind of shows you're able to use more lashes based on the client's natural lash health. So there's a really nice chart there that kind of shows you the difference between 0.15s and 0.05s, how many lashes you can do. So yeah, if you have any questions, thank you for watching. Definitely you can shoot me a text message on my cell phone. I'm sure you already have my number. Send me an email, shoot a comment in the comments of this video, and I hope to see you guys very soon. I can't wait to see you in the volume course. Bye for now.